Hey y'all, let's talk sourdough starter. So today we are going to make a sourdough starter, and if I'm being honest with you, there's a baby giggling over there playing. If I'm being honest with you, I've never done this before, but don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, hear me out. Now, I know the benefits and believe in the benefits of fermented foods. I have made my own kombucha, I have made my own sauerkraut, and I will share those things on here as well. But sourdough starter is one of those things that I've always been just a little bit intimidated by, and I don't know why. I think I was making it more complicated than it really was, and I hesitated on if I would share this because I am new to it. But then the more I thought about it, I know I would want to watch a video of somebody doing this for the first time, learn with them, figure out the ups, the downs, the easy things, the tough things, figure it out together. And so that's what we're going to do. I've done a good bit of research and have figured out what method I think and what approach I think that I'm going to take. Now, I think I was overcomplicating this because there's so many different ways that people approach this. And if you can approach it in all of those ways, then maybe I need to just step back, stop thinking it's so difficult, figure out the way I want to do it, and just give it a try. What's it going to hurt to just give it a try? So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to get it started today. Now, the approach that I'm going to take is to not discard any starter for the first few days. We're going to give that a go, see how that works out. So I'm going to start in this smaller container, but we'll eventually have to move up to this bigger container. We're going to need something to measure with, something to stir with. I'm going to use unbleached all-purpose flour. That's what I have chosen to use, but I know people use whole wheat, people use bleached flour. Now, I have moved away from using bleached flour for the most part, but in a pinch, that's something that you could use. People use a mixture of flours. We're going to go with all-purpose unbleached flour. And then in this right here, I have some water. It's tap water that I have let sit out for several hours. You could even do it overnight. I'm actually going to leave this water in here that I don't use so that I can use it tomorrow. Now, the problem with tap water is that it is chlorinated. So that's going to kill bacteria. And what we are trying to do is get good bacteria to grow. So we don't want to use chlorinated water. What you can do is you can boil it and then you can let it come to room temperature, or you can do like I've done and let it sit out for several hours to overnight, and it will, I believe, what they call degas, and you'll be able to use tap water. I do not have any special tools or instruments and measuring cups and things that I'm using. I don't have a kitchen scale. That may be something that I look into for in the future. But yeah, I'm just using what I have. I think that's something that held me back from getting this started because I thought that I had to wait until I had certain things. And I'm just going to go with it, y'all. I know there are people, when you are researching this, that say you need to make sure you have exact measurements. And then there are people who say, no, just go with it. And I'm taking the approach of just going with it, and we're going to see how this turns out. I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side because we will not need this for a couple of days, and this video should include this whole process, so y'all should get to see me put it in this. We'll just see how it goes. We're learning together, y'all. We're learning together. But today is day one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glass jar. Glass seems to be the best container choice. That seems to be the consensus there. So we're going with glass, and all you need to do is equal parts by weight of your flour and your water. Again, I do not have a scale, but I know that if I use a 1/4 cup of flour, I'm going to need a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of water because water is heavier. If you use a 1/2 cup of flour, you're going to need a little less than 1/2 cup of water, maybe about 1/3 of a cup. What we're looking for is pancake batter consistency. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup because I'm doing the no discard method, or at least that's how we're going to start. We'll see how it goes. I think it will be less wasteful to do it that way if it works. And I don't want to use 1/2 cup and have it grow and increase that quickly. I think using a 1/4 cup is going to be best. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get us a 1/4 cup of our unbleached all-purpose flour in here and a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of water. We're going to mix it together and see what it looks like. All right, this is where we are going to leave it for day 1. You want to just make sure all of your flour is wet. Like I said, pancake batter consistency. And that's what we have. So I'm going to loosely cover this. Now you don't want to cover it tight because gases will build up and you want to have a place for them to escape. So I'm just sitting this lid on here loosely. You could cover it with a napkin or a cheesecloth and a rubber band if you wanted to, but I'm just very, very loosely putting this lid on. We're going to sit this on the counter and we're just going to leave it be, and I will check back in with you tomorrow for day 2. Let me hop on right here real quick and introduce myself in case you're new. My name is Tiffany and this is our small town life. We recently purchased this double wide mobile home, put it out here on a little bit of land that we're going to turn into our own 1-acre homestead, and we're sharing all of that with you here on this channel. We would love to have you subscribe and join our family. After you watch this video, consider checking out some of the other videos on our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and join our crew. It's day number 2. I'm going to grab our jar and see what's going on. So there's a few bubbles on top. I didn't expect to see a whole lot going on today, but we do have a few bubbles. If you don't see anything for the first few days, don't get discouraged. It may take it a little time to start making some bubbles for you. And it did get a little bit cooler here. The temperature dropped and it's a little bit cooler in the house, so that's going to affect it as well. But I'm happy. We're going to feed it again today. We're not discarding any of it. We're just going to feed it with the exact same amounts we did yesterday. 1/4 cup of flour, a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of water. Stir it together and put the lid on lightly and back on the counter. You know how I said pancake batter? It hit me when I was, I don't know, just out of the blue last night. To me, it seems more like cornbread batter. Does anybody else feel me there? So when I make my cornbread batter, it's almost like a thick pancake batter. So if you want to think of it as thick pancake batter, then by all means do that. But it kind of hit me out of nowhere and I was like, it's kind of like cornbread batter. You just want all of your flour to have moisture in it. You don't want any dry flour in it. Okay, let's get its food in there, lid on, and back on the counter. Loose lid and back to the counter until tomorrow. We are on day number 3, and honestly I don't see a whole lot of change from yesterday. There are a few bubbles starting to show up on the side, and if I look down over the top, I can see 3 or 4 bubbles, almost exactly like what we had yesterday, maybe just a little bit more. I honestly think it's taking it a little while, and it's being really slow to get started because our temperature has dropped and it's cooler in the house. Now granted, we're only on day 3, so it shouldn't be super bubbly yet anyway. We do have a few bubbles, so that's good. We're gonna go ahead and feed it again today, just like we have been, the exact same amounts that we've been using. And I think what I'm gonna do today is put it up on top of the refrigerator. Heat rises, the heat from the refrigerator is gonna, or the motor from the refrigerator is gonna give off a little heat, and I think it may be a little happier up there where it's a little warmer. So that's the plan for today. We're gonna go ahead, feed it again, and put it in a place that's a little bit warmer. I also wanted to mention that I refreshed my water this morning. Early this morning I got some more tap water, and I've just let it sit out for several hours to get rid of some of that chlorine, and I want to use this water today, and again I'll let it sit and we'll use the same water tomorrow. Do you want to help, Putty? You can help me. Right, we're going to put this right here in the jar. So pick this right here up, and we're going to dump it into the jar. All right, now let me get you some water. Let's not pour quite all of it, but almost all of it, and see if we think it needs some more. All right, let's stop right there and check it out. And stir it up. Okay, let's put the lid back on nice and loose, and we'll sit it where it can stay warm until tomorrow. Now, right on top of the refrigerator.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Good job. Well, it's day number 4, and I'm seeing more bubbles today, y'all. Can you see them? There's bubbles everywhere. That's a good sign. Let's peek down into the top of it. Y'all, look at that. Look at that. And it's starting to smell a little more sour. It's later in the afternoon. Today it's already dark outside when I'm getting around to this. But how about that? I'm wondering if I should go ahead and move it over to the bigger container, or if I can get one more day in this one. What should we do? I think I'm gonna go ahead and feed it one more time in this jar, same amounts as we've been doing, and then tomorrow we will move it over to that larger container that I showed you all. It's day number 5. I've got my sourdough starter. We've got some bubbles. I would like to see bigger bubbles. So I think we're gonna adjust some things today. Looking down into the top of it, we've got some bubbles going on there too. I see a little extra water sitting on the top, which is okay. I think that's called hooch, and it can be stirred in. But what it means is I'm probably adding a little too much water to it. So again, I'm going to adjust for that today. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my bigger container, I think. And we're going to change up some measurements. If you can hear some machines running outside, we are getting our septic tank today, so that's really exciting, but they're working on that outside. All right, we're gonna move it over to this container, and from this point forward, we're gonna start doing equal parts of starter, flour, and water. So if you wanted to discard all of this, put a 1/4 cup and then add a 1/4 cup of flour and a 1/4 cup of water, well, you could. I'm gonna go ahead and keep all of this. We've got about a cup of starter now, so I'm gonna add a cup of flour and a cup of water in with that today. And from here, moving forward, however much starter I decide to keep, I'll add the same amount of flour and water. Now that we've got it going, I just think that it's gonna need a little bit more food to stay active and get good and bubbly for us. Before I add any water, I'm going to give this a stir and see what it looks like. All right, let's add some water. And I'm just gonna add my water a 1/4 cup at a time until I like the way that it looks. All right, this is the consistency I'm gonna stop at today. Kind of adjust that water a little bit. I think that looks good. All of our flour has absorbed water. And the way flour works, it's gonna continue absorbing water for a little while. So that's where I'm gonna stop today. I'm happy with that. We're gonna put our lid on. Now, if you get a jar like this that has a gasket around the lid, you're gonna wanna take that off. Again, just so that gas can work its way out as your sourdough starter works. It is day number 6. 6, right? I think so. And we have bubbles. We have bubbles. I don't think it's quite ready for bread yet, but I am going to discard some of this today and probably use it for pancakes. And the reason why I'm going to discard some or take some of it out is just because we're at that point where we're feeding equal parts by weight, or as close as we can get, of flour and water to however much starter we keep. And so if I kept all of this in here, I'd have to do about 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, and I don't want to put that much in here. So I'm going to take about a cup out, feed the rest of it. That'll leave about a cup in there, and I'll feed it with a cup of flour and a cup of water, and we'll let it go another day. Let me go ahead and let y'all peek down inside of here. Things are happening. Ooh, look at that.
Wheatgrass is pretty, but just gonna die soon.
This is the starter that I took out. I'm either gonna use it for pancakes, or I'll see if my mom wants it to start some of her. She had mentioned wanting to do some herself, so she can take this and keep feeding it. I don't think it's quite ready for bread yet, but it'll be good for pancakes. It's day number 7 on our sourdough starter.
Completion.
Well, I thought it would be. But I think it needs to go another day because it got a little cold in here.
Sourdough don't run on God's time.
It's got its own time. It runs on. It got a little cooler, and I think it's just slowed it down to the point where I'm going to just have to give it some more time. I'm going to go ahead, do like I did yesterday, take half of it out, feed it another cup of flour, a little less than a cup of water, and let it go one more day. I think it needs it. I think it just needs to warm up and get nice and happy and have another day. It's bubbling. It's working. It's just working slow because I don't think I've kept it quite warm enough. I did give the starter that I took out yesterday to my mom, and she's working with it. And this right here we'll use to try out some pancakes. Oh, making a mess today. It's all right. To give it a little bit of a head start, I warmed that water up in the microwave just a little bit. Maybe that'll make our sourdough starter happy. It's day number 8, and I thought I would be done by now, but I think I've figured it out. My house was just way too cold. The starter that I took over to my mom's when I discarded a couple of days ago, y'all, when we fed that starter, within a matter of like an hour, it was big and bubbly and had risen like 2 inches. It looked beautiful, but her home was warmer than mine. And so I've got my sourdough starter a little bit warmer yesterday, and it is loving me for it. There are lots of nice bubbles, and if I look down over the top, I can see bubbles. It smells like it's doing what it's supposed to. If your home is warmer than mine, then your starter will probably be done by now, but mine's not. So I'm going to do like I did yesterday, discard all of this but about a cup, feed it with a cup of flour and a little less than a cup of water, and I'm going to let mine go another day. You sure can.
That's it.
Yep. While he's stirring, just a few ideas for you with your discard. You could throw it away, but you could also use it for things that don't need a very high rise, like pancakes. You could give it to someone like I did, and my mom's got a starter going now. Or if you have chickens, you can give it to your chickens. Yeah, sure, you can start to. It's day number 9, and I am calling my starter ready. I'm calling it ready to use. Over the last 24 hours, I've watched it do like I showed you with my mom's, where it got nice and bubbly and big, and then once it started to run out of food, it started to go back down again. It's still bubbly 24 hours later. It's still looking beautiful, and I'm going to go ahead and try it out and bake some bread with it. I'm actually going to have to go ahead and feed it and then let it get bubbly again, because for bread baking, you want to catch it when it's at its peak. When it's eating that food and it's gotten real fluffy and bubbly, you want to catch it when it's at its fluffiest, its bubbliest, and use it for bread baking then. So I'm going to feed mine now, and I'll be able to start that process in a few hours. I've decided to name my starter Mabel. Apparently it's bad luck if you don't name your starter, so the name Mabel has kind of drawn me in, and that's what I'm going to call it. Thank you for helping me get Mabel up and going. From this point out, all we've got to do to keep our starter happy and healthy is to feed it. If you want to keep it at room temperature, you can sit it on the counter, use it daily. use what you need out of it, and then feed it with that 1:1:1 ratio. If you're not going to use it daily, you can get it cold. I'm testament to the fact that getting it cold slows it down. So you can put it in the refrigerator and pull it out every week or two, feed it, and let it come to room temperature, use what you need, and stick it back in the refrigerator. That's okay too. However it works for you, let it work for you. Y'all don't make this too complicated. It's not. I had to learn along the way. I'm still learning, but it's not as complicated as I thought it was going to be. From my family to yours, we love you, we appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.